डॉक्टर परीक्षित शेवड़े और आज हम लोग बात करने वाले हैं गौमूत्र के बारे में। दिवाली में कई सारे दोस्त बड़े दिनों के बाद हम लोग मिले और ऐसी ही कुछ चर्चाएं चल रही थी। उसमें ही बीच में एक मेरे दोस्त ने बताया कि किस तरह से उसके पिताजी हर रोज तकरीबन आधा से पौना गिलास तक गौमूत्र अर्क का सेवन कर रहे हैं। तो मैंने बोला अच्छी बात है, क्या किसी ने सजेस्ट किया था? क्या किसी आयुर्वेदिक चिकित्सक ने बताया था? तो उसने बोला नहीं, ऐसा तो किसी ने कहा नहीं था। मैंने पूछा अच्छा तो उन्हें क्या बीमारी है? उसने बोला कुछ बीमारी नहीं यार, सिर्फ हेल्दी रहने के लिए हर रोज थोड़े थोड़े मात्रा में गौमूत्र का सेवन कर रहे हैं। तो मैंने बोला ठीक है, क्या उन्हें एसिडिटी जैसी कोई शिकायत हो रही है? उसने बोला अरे हाँ यार, तुझे कैसे पता चला? जब से गौमूत्र लेना चालू किया है, हाँ उन्हें एसिडिटी जैसी शिकायत हो तो जरूर रही है। दोस्तों, शास्त्रों में ऐसा कहा गया है कि गौमये वसति लक्ष्मी, गौमूत्रे तो धन्वंतरी। मतलब गौमूत्र में साक्षात भगवान धन्वंतरी जी का निवास होता है। ये रूपक के तौर पे बताया गया है। इसका मतलब इतना ही है कि गौमूत्र में औषधि तत्व है। जी हाँ, ये बिल्कुल सही बात है। गौमूत्र के गुण।
Welcome, folks, to the new episode of Bharatiya Janata podcast. In this episode, Aditya is back, and I will not make any comments about Adit's national identity because he takes it personally. What we
Because
want,
as the great man has said, the me who is residing in the me has given permission to me to stay there.
and as always, Aditya leaves me speechless. Having said that, and this is a great point that you bring, Aditya, because today, as we've discussed in many of our older episodes, we want to talk about a very specific thing that is close to the both of us, and that is why most STEM graduates in India, and by STEM I mean science, tech, engineering, and medical, right? Yeah, na? STEM
Yeah.
graduates end up being more right-leaning as compared to other humanities graduates. And to begin that, I will ask you, Aditya, to first take us through your journey of being an enlightened Harvard postdoc and how, in different parts of that journey, your politics was impacted by what you were studying.
So I went to a very run-of-the-mill school kind, so just a government-aided run-of-the-mill school. And family, as always, like with a typical Tambram family, you never take the call, right?
Mhm.
The others take it for you
Definitely.
way before you have actually made up your mind as to what you want to do. So right through school, I was an ordinary student, like nothing exceptional. तुम लोगों के स्कूल में रैंक होता था क्या?
रैंक मतलब final,
रैंक करके
first, second, third.
कंसेप्ट एक कंसेप्ट होता था. हाँ, तो वी यूज्ड टू हैव 15 रैंक्स इन द क्लास. उसके आगे रैंक नहीं मिलेगा रिपोर्ट कार्ड में. सो उसका
वैसा हमारे यहाँ कुछ
एवरी ईयर, this is not just board exams, every single year they used to have this concept of 15 rank and hierarchy basically.
So
बच्चों में
every unit test पता है. I don't know if you know what unit test used to be.
Yeah, I
Unit
know,
test is essentially monthly तो नहीं,
Monthly.
I think by monthly
between
like,
semester exams बस.
so basically 4 unit test होते थे, 3 यूनिट टेस्ट होते थे, एक हाफ ईयरली होता था और एक फाइनल होता था. ये मैं नॉर्मल ईयर की बात कर रहा
हमारा
हूँ,
भी
ठीक है.
सेम था.
हर यूनिट टेस्ट में टॉप 10 रैंक्स दी जाती थी क्लास की, ठीक है. दिस हैपेंड लाइक, सो आई स्टडीड इन 2 डिफरेंट स्कूल्स. सो एक स्कूल में टॉप 10 दिया जाता था और एक स्कूल में ओनली टॉप 3. तो जब मैं ओनली टॉप 3 में गया तो मेरे लिए बहुत ईजी हो गया क्योंकि मैं हमेशा 4th होता था घर वालों के लिए.
हाँ, तो सेम चीज. तो यहाँ हमारे यहाँ 15 रैंक्स होता था. तो एक्सेप्ट फॉर एन एबरेशन हियर एंड देयर, आई यूज्ड टू बी अराउंड 7th 8th से लेके 15 तक, वही रेंज में. या एंड टुवर्ड्स द लैटर स्टेजेस ना, 9th 10th 11th में सब, दैट वुड बी लाइक 11 12 13 समवेयर अराउंड दैट रेंज. एंड साइंस एंड मैथ्स ऑलवेज देयर वाज दिस एम्फेसिस. मैथ्स स्पेशली, बिकॉज मैथ्स में हमेशा ये भी होता है कि यू आर कंपेयर्ड with your peers on the basis of your math scores, right? Not even science as a subject करके कुछ ठीक से crystallized नहीं था हमारे state board में. We would have something called as general science for very long, which is like shameful because till 10th we didn't have physics, chemistry, and maths as separate subjects, and biology as separate subjects. Physics, chemistry, biology were all just science 1 and science 2, ऐसे नाम से, which is just a mishmash of everything. So that is how it was till 10th. And I used to do okay, like, but you don't ever get to identify whether you are good at physics or you are good at biology and so on. क्योंकि science 1 science 2 में कुछ marks मिल रहा है, तुम्हारा interest actually क्या है, you have never able to figure out by that point. This is state board. I'm pretty sure CBSE has like physics, chemistry, maths, right? But history and geography, which were subjects which legitimately interested me, and I thought that I knew a lot in that because I was genuinely interested in history as a subject, and I would. But the problem I used to face was कि as with all Indian education, history में marks were given on the basis of how you can reproduce the language written in the textbooks.
Exactly.
So if I got the events more or less correct and if I wrote it in my own words, that was never encouraged. और एक बार तो ओपन हाउस में स्कूल में ये भी बोला गया था from my teacher कि your son writes well but he won't get marks this way.
तुम लोग ओपन हाउस बोलते थे कि हमारे पेरेंट्स टीचर मीट बोलते थे?
हम लोग उसको ओपन हाउस बोलते थे,
ऐसा मेरे दिमाग
जहाँ पे पेपर्स दिखाया जाता था ना,
हाँ.
कि meanwhile I and continuously right through my first to 10th wala entire duration, I used to do very well in languages, all 4 of them. Matlab, we had like English, Hindi, Marathi and Tamil. So I used to, the only subjects I used to top the class in was all these languages. So even 10th May, my performance was the best in Marathi and English, in which I topped the class, but not in maths and science, weirdly. But that was never considered to be a legitimate academic accomplishment. So 10th में भी I got around 80%, but it was always a foregone conclusion कि करना क्या है. तो 11th 12th में ऐसे ही like muscle memory type था कि इसी में जाना है, मतलब से कोई conscious decision making नहीं था. 11th 12th में science just continued in the same place. Again इंजीनियरिंग करना था, ये भी प्री डिसाइडेड था, क्योंकि एक तो अफोर्डेबिलिटी एलिमेंट, बॉम्बे में मिडिल क्लास किड कैन नॉट गो टू डू मेडिकल एजुकेशन लार्जली, मतलब unless you have a lot of money. Government which has very few seats, so getting into a government college is a huge deal, challenge. Engineering में there are more seats and private colleges में medical करना is almost next to impossible, मतलब without taking loans and stuff. So engineering में ऐसे ही किया. Then I did some engineering भी बहुत खास college से नहीं, very mediocre college. 12th में भी बहुत बढ़िया मार्क्स तो नहीं मिला था, जेई टाइप का कोई मार्क नहीं था. AIEEE में पीछे का रैंक कुछ क्वालिफाई हुआ था और some basic engineering college state entrance I cleared and I got into doing a BTech in biotechnology, which is basically like chemical engineering with a slight twist. उतना ही. BTech में भी I met more of the same kind of people who are just like me. I'm pretty sure like I'll just pause for a minute and like I'll stop till here and you can.
Basically, the more I listen to you, the more I realize that I have almost followed the exact same trajectory as you have. The difference being that I grew up in a much smaller city than you did. And another difference being that even when I was in class 5, I knew that I have to end up doing engineering because there was literally nothing else that was told to me as much as this one fact. So my dad...
And was a lot of it was also an element of survival, right, from our parents. Like what is the best to survive in the job market?
It's a great point that you bring. It's a little different, I guess, when it comes to me and my family, because even though we grew up in I grew up in a small town, but in terms of financial means, we were never challenged, right? So we are well-to-do. My dad retired a few years ago as an executive engineer in the MP State Water Supply Department. So the thing that I think they craved was respect. In those circles, and I'm sure it's the same with you as well, in those circles, respect comes from qualification, and qualification comes from being an engineer or a doctor. Through the 90s, it's slowly changing now.
या फिर कॉमर्स कर रहे हो तो CA.
कॉमर्स सोच भी नहीं सकता था अगर मैंने I am being very honest with you. So like I have cousins who took commerce. True story. I'm talking about one of my cousins who's same class, 6 months, 5 months younger than me. He did his MBA and he's working for a multinational in Delhi now. And I met him after my like I mean I've met him all through my life, but I'm talking about once I met him right before I was leaving for US to do my masters. And just like नॉर्मल बातों में ही सेड समथिंग विच जस्ट स्टक विद मी. ही सेड कि अगर मुझे सब कुछ वापस करने को मिलेगा तो मैं कॉमर्स नहीं लूंगा. नॉट बिकॉज ही वॉज नॉट डूइंग वेल इन लाइफ, ही वॉज डूइंग डिसेंटली वेल इन लाइफ, बिकॉज ही वॉज नॉट
Hmm.
गेटिंग इनफ रिस्पेक्ट. आई रिमेंबर like in 10th or 11th grade we were sitting together at some bua's place or some place, and one of my buas asks this cousin of mine, and imagine this for how it might impact your self-worth. She tells him कि हाँ, पॉइंटिंग टू मी कि हाँ उसके और थोड़ा पास बैठ, थोड़ा उसका उसको टच कर, शायद उसका दिमाग तेरे अंदर भी आ जाए.
So basically ये भी एक अलग तरह का कास्ट सिस्टम है मतलब हमारे सोसाइटी में through education, right? Like the other Amit bhai said last week, right, on the other pod,
या
कि अपने सोसाइटी में फ्रैक्चर लाइंस और कोई फैमिली के अलावा और कुछ बचता ही नहीं है.
एग्जैक्टली.
So I think this is exactly that. So even in education we have created multiple fractured lines. So
But this is put into your head from the beginning. I mean,
very early on.
one of my cousin sisters, after 12 took 3 drops to try and get into medical school, and after the third drop, when she could not, it clearly affected her mental well-being.
We do not have this concept of exit routes and malleability in careers. These are not things which we were ever aware of. Like we were never aware of the fact that you could actually be a BSc MSc in physics and then end up doing something which is close to aeronautical engineering, because that is how things work, right? You driving force behind us getting into engineering was more social acceptance rather than our love for applied sciences.
In my case, 105% social acceptance and negative 5% for anything else. So basically, that dad, there are 4 brothers. My dad is number 3. The elder 3 brothers, all of them are engineers. And the youngest, my chacha, is a doctor. So khatam kahani. And then their kids, if you are if you are a boy, you've done engineering. If you're a girl, you've done medicine. And my chacha's son, he's done medicine also, because his father and his mother both are doctors. So basically, अगर जो to your question, अगर मैंने to just like BSc किया होता, let's say MSc किया होता, even today it's impossible for me to even imagine how my family would have taken me. Like, so another small example. Again, not a great student. In fact, I was never interested even in doing anything remotely in science. I was never interested in science. In fact, to your thing, 10th grade, the best score that I got was in social science, and that was the one subject. So like everyone of us, right, we have a friends group and we study together. That was the subject that I'd teach my friends when my friends would teach me like math or something. Like that was my thing. And I knew, even before grade 10, I knew that is something that I could potentially excel at. I was, again, small town, so keep that in mind. But everybody knew that I spoke well. Like even today, if you meet people who went with me to my school, and if you talk to them, you will be very surprised that I speak the way I speak. Just like, I'm being very honest. Huh? Secondly, I like to read, and I read a lot of history, and I think that was the one thing that I enjoyed the most. I asked my dad right after taking the board exams during that summer break time कि I'm thinking कि मैं arts लूँ, and my dad bluntly looked at me and said, खाना वाना खाना है कि नहीं तुम्हें बाद में? So I went to a private engineering college in MP. Again, nothing to be proud of. And even then I remember. So you take you take ITG, कुछ नहीं, triple E, nothing much of value. Then you have the state PET, जैसे बोलते हैं MP में, MP PET. तो MP PET का काउंसलिंग हो रहा है जबलपुर इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में. You know, your rank is a counseling gate. You get your rank, and whatever is left, you pick. Now, my uncle, as in my father's elder brother, retired as the principal of NIT Raipur. And after retirement, he settled in Jabalpur, which is his hometown. And of course, he's an engineer from 70s. He did his M.Tech from IIT Powai, actually your place. And then he went to become a professor. But anyway, something happened. I don't even remember why, but he was there when my counseling was happening. Not with me, but he was there to meet.
This is essentially very similar to my story.
Mhm.
When this counseling was about to happen, it was more of a family decision with extended family participating in it, but I had absolutely no say in the whole thing.
Exactly. I mean, I by that time when I think about it, I had made in my head that I also believe in this. Like by that time, I also believed that I want this. But now looking at it, I know that it was just because everybody around me wanted it so badly. Anyway, so he's there, and I'm with my dad, and I pick my college and I pick my branch, electronics. अगेन इसमें भी एक चीज़ बोल देता हूँ, अगर मैंने इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, कंप्यूटर साइंस, मैकेनिकल, सिविल और इलेक्ट्रिकल, इन पांचों के अलावा कुछ भी इंटरेस्टिंग, कुछ भी अलग लिया होता है इवन इंजीनियरिंग में, वो भी एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं होता. लाइक यू हैव टू पिक अमंगस्ट दीज फाइव. दैट्स एंड इन माय केस सिविल, if you are going to pick civil, I don't even like कभी सोचा भी नहीं, but let's say if you were going to pick civil, तो basically जब मैं तो एक उसमें एक और हायरार्की है, राइट? गवर्नमेंट कॉलेजेस से इंजीनियरिंग करना और प्राइवेट कॉलेजेस से इंजीनियरिंग करना,
Correct.
राइट? So my rank came, no government college in MP had electronics, computer science, IIT left. ठीक है? जबलपुर गवर्नमेंट इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज had electrical का seats left, and other like Bhopal ka government college had civil. So like basically you had electrical and civil in some places, you had mechanical in some places. I could have potentially picked up mechanical or electrical from a government college, but I ended up picking up electronics. I don't like, I think that was my decision to some degree, but even there is a hierarchy. Basically what I'm trying to say is that there is also a hierarchy of what branches you
Correct.
pick. I pick up electronics, and my dad is there, and I go meet my uncle, dad's elder brother, and he has literally tears in his eyes, and that tells you how important it was for everyone to make sure that beta goes into engineering. After that, I was like, all through my first year, if whenever I was at home, I was introduced, like my buas and all, if they're like we live very close by each other, like it's almost like a joint family. हाँ, तो if their people would come here, हमारे family का अगला engineer, that is how I'd be introduced. So it's clearly about pride and respect.
मेरे केस में the burden was for me to be an engineer because he couldn't do it in that sense. So while professionally he was working in a domain of engineers, later on towards the more senior stages of his career, so he basically, that is the reason why me getting into engineering was so important for them. The exact opposite of what it was in your case. I gained nothing out of my 4 years of engineering. I was again I was again very average. 3 years it went in autopilot, just exam to exam. That is how I view my engineering as. My BTech I did from home, but like significant hours of commuting, like 2.5 hours of commuting every
So that
single
is
day.
one thing that
So-
I gained from my engineering, is that I left home to from Jabalpur to Bhopal to do my engineering. My engineering had no significant change because of that. I was still reading, guide, exam के पहले guide पढ़ के, previous year paper पढ़ के, उनके responses पढ़ के, I took all my exams.
मैं तो ट्रांसपेरेंसी
मैं-
पढ़ के जाता था यार इंजीनियरिंग में. टीचर्स का जो OHP होता था वो टाइम पे ना, तभी तक इतना हमारे क्लासरूम्स में डिजिटल प्रोजेक्टर्स नहीं आया था, तो पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशंस नहीं होता था. बीटेक में तो आई क्लास टीचर, जो भी टीचर्स थे उन लोगों का जो हैंड रिटन ट्रांसपेरेंसीज होता था, वी वुड टेक कॉपीज ऑफ दैट और वो पढ़ के जाते थे, इनकम्प्लीट सेंटेंसेस, बुलेट पॉइंट्स एग्जाम में. एंड बिकॉज वी हैव दिस हैबिट ऑफ डिग्रेसिंग, सो लेट अस जस्ट पुट इट इनटू 2 blocks now, like what we gained out of our engineering. तेरे हिसाब से क्या
So
है?
the only thing that I gained out of my engineering, which has got nothing to do with engineering, is to broaden the group of friends that I have, broaden the socio-economic background of the friends that I had, and more importantly, to broaden the religious background of the friends I had. So I moved to Bhopal, which has a significant Muslim population. So I got to meet my first Muslim friends in Bhopal, and through them, I could get second-hand experiences of how life in India could be if you are a minority, and through that, I learned, I think, compassion, and I think that was the most pivotal part in my life in terms of what I am today, in terms of my social skills, as we are talking about. I think that is what I learned.
For me, it was even less enriching than what it was for you. When it comes to education, it was absolutely nothing. I gained nothing during my engineering because हम लोगों का, and a lot of it had to do with how badly we were taught. It was basically shambles था, मतलब legitimate degree मैं आज के तारीख में बोलूँगा ही
मैं
नहीं
भी
उसको.
मैं भी
तो and on top of that, because I'm in the same city, you only meet the same kind of people, so I was surrounded by everyone who was socioeconomically of the same background. In fact, mera school was much more diverse than my engineering class. So in fact, in the engineering classroom, I was on the lower end of the economic ladder. How it happens in Bombay is there is another layer of hierarchy depending on which part of the city you come from, which would happen in every city. I'm assuming pretty much. I think this happens in every city across the world. You are judged on the basis of which part of the city you come from. That is just to say that there was nobody else from economic background which is completely from the lower end of the social spectrum in India. The only time I started taking the education side of it seriously was towards the very final stages of my engineering, when you have to actually start thinking of, because my degree was definitely not making me employable anywhere at that point
अच्छा उसमें
towards
भी
the end of
कुछ मैं
BTech.
थोड़ा सा ऐड करना चाहूँगा. Sorry.
हाँ.
Um,
हाँ.
many people, even in my engineering college, and I'm sure, like as you are saying, you had this thought process that this is engineering, respectable, financially stable, and this should lead to something in terms of financial viability. That wasn't even case for me. Like मुझे ये भी पता है कि I, even before starting my engineering, I knew that engineering के बाद I will do something before I get my first job. Like even the decision to move to US was not because I really wanted to study in US, frankly. The decision was because, so ideal था बी या बी टेक एंड देन कैट MBA, राइट.
MBA.
पहले ही घर वालों को डिसअपॉइंट कर दिया था दैट IIT या NIT से इंजीनियरिंग नहीं किया. तो इनिशियली आई इवन लाइक फिफ्थ सेमेस्टर से आई स्टार्टेड प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर कैट, ठीक है, सो दैट आई कुड एटलीस्ट गेट इनटू एन IIM. आई was like 98 point something percentile. I got it calls from two, उस समय IIMs कम भी थे actually, but I got calls from two IIMs in interview calls, but I got rejected in both interviews. And then there was this next level of MBA, right? SP Jain, Narsi Monji. I don't even remember कहाँ कहाँ का scene था. But one of my roommates, and by this time my political outlook had completely changed, but this validation had requirement had not changed. So one of my roommates was preparing for GRE because this guy honestly really wanted to do, perhaps almost like you, I don't know how you felt, he really wanted to study more, and he really wanted to study tech and study tech from US. So he was preparing for GRE. Now GRE is also a lot similar to CAT, at least vocab, right? तो मैं उसके साथ vocab उसके साथ प्रिपेयर करता था. फिर ही वांटेड टू, मतलब ही टुक GRE डेट, एंड उस एक महीना बाद मेरा कैट है, ठीक है. तो एनीवे, सो आई जस्ट लाइक मैं भी GRE दूंगा just because to see my preparation before CAT. So right, I took my CAT on November 11th or 12th, and I took my GRE on 7th October 2010. I still remember the date. तो आई टुक GRE एंड फोड़ा मैंने GRE फुल ऑन, मतलब 1440 आउट ऑफ 1600 उस जमाने में. भोपाल में तो पोस्टर तो नहीं, मतलब वो जहाँ मैं मॉक टेस्ट देता था उन्होंने मेरा फोटो वोटो भी लगाया भोपाल में, जगह जगह. भोपाल बिग डील. आई डोंट थिंक अभी तक मेरा कॉलेज से भी किसी ने स्कोर को क्रॉस किया है GRE में. बट एनीवे, कैट not so much. I mean, CAT still very good, but again, India mein it's just cutthroat, right? And so after CAT didn't, I was not going into IIM. In my head, I'm like, I've already disappointed my parents, and I'm not going to IIM. How can I like go to like another private institution to do something? I have to do something about it. So I ended up कि ये भी नहीं चाहता हूँ. I fucking hate I fucking hated studying engineering. I fucking hated doing what I did. I barely passed. I told you like how many subjects I was at 35, and even then I applied for electronics क्योंकि वो मेरा ब्रांच था तो electronics या communication engineering. To apply you need to get LORs and transcripts and all of that. To during getting transcript from my university, I met this guy who had also taken GRE. He was from IIT from my batch, and he told me that he is applying in this thing called MIS, Information Systems. So I went Management
Management
Information System. I went
information.
home that day. This is after I've applied to given GRE, applied to a few or planning to apply to a few universities. I look up what is MIS, and I see that like reading the description, I realized that among the technical things, this sounds like the least technical thing that I could do because it sounded like MBA but for like tech folks basically. So I was like, I should apply in MIS, and that is why I applied in MIS. So the reason that I wanted to go to US was because if you cannot be in IIM Ahmedabad, the only other way to gain respect from your family is to go to US.
My trajectory is exactly the opposite as yours. So by the time I am in my 7th semester, I was just hovering around the 60% mark. And करना क्या है कुछ पता नहीं था, but so we decided कि कुछ तो लेकिन साइंस में कुछ करना है. Basically that was the idea. तो first idea was to apply for an MS. तो 7th semester में, which was 2010 I graduated, so 2008-9 का जो इंटरसेक्शन के टाइम पे आई गेव GRE. आई गॉट द एग्जैक्ट सेम स्कोर 1440, टोफल में 111.
क्या बात है, मेरा टॉफल में भी 111, मेरा भी 111 112 ऐसे कुछ था क्योंकि मुझे याद है 29 29 29 28 ऐसा कुछ था मेरा. तो अच्छा 116 था, सॉरी. हाँ.
द जनरल आइडिया वाज, मेरे लिए GRE वाज अ लॉजिकल एग्जाम टू गिव बिकॉज GRE में टेक्निकल टेस्ट
Yeah.
नहीं है. GRE टेस्ट your ability to comprehend things basically, right? Which I always knew was my strength as opposed to collecting facts and writing about it. So वो मेरा strength कभी नहीं था. And time bound exams in which facts are tested, I have never done well. In a very weird way, the fact that I did well in languages in school was also because languages were the only subjects in which your ability to reason was tested. Even in science that wasn't tested. Say reading passages and comprehension, ये school के languages में होता था क्योंकि वहाँ पे you had the freedom to go and there would be a passage given to you. ऐसा unseen passages होता था पता है, which was outside of the textbook.
English
reading comprehension में I used to love doing it. हम लोगों को English, हिंदी, मराठी सब में होता था ऐसा. तो I used to have fun doing that. The playing field is level there, right? Because the other person also in your classroom doesn't also know what is to expect. तो उसमें रट के जाने में कोई benefit नहीं था. तो वो GRE में कहीं ना कहीं काम आया. एंड GRE I got good scores, but when I applied ना, that was the season जब ये global recession का टाइम था, funding cuts वगैरह हुआ था. So fellowships weren't very good. और MS में तो वैसे भी, so I had gotten offers from Purdue and a couple of others. I think University of Illinois Chicago वगैरह था, but none of them genuinely interested me. तो what I decided, me and a couple of my other friends, we decided was कि US में the good thing is that once you have an admit you can defer it by a semester, right? August के लिए जो admit था, so we deferred it by to January at that point. कुछ ऐसा basic research experience वगैरह लेते हैं कहीं पे after we finish engineering, ठीक है. कि उसके बाद what we'll do is we'll just go, or we just went around all labs across Bombay, man. The sense of misplaced confidence जो था ना अपने, which was we just knock at faculty का doors in IIT, TIFR, and none of them encourage us, okay? Most of them said नहीं, कहाँ से हो, अच्छा नहीं, चले जाओ, कोई जगह नहीं है. We were like, हम लोग 6 महीना कुछ ऐसा आपके लैब में ऐसे intern type project करना चाहते हैं with zero research experience and absolutely no qualification. 60% मुश्किल से मिला है एक third rate college में basically, ठीक है. आज के तारीख में मेरे में वो confidence नहीं होगा करने के लिए, but that time we did it. So we thought like 6 months कहीं ना कहीं we'll get an hands-on experience of being somewhere. Why we thought that people would encourage us, I have no idea today. Don't ask me how. But we wrote to every single lab out there in the city and somewhere Pune, Bombay, ये सब जगह में जितना भी premier research institutes था कि research का experience चाहिए, and then we will add stuff to our CV and then again apply and probably get a better shot at getting an RA position or something like that and fellowship मिलेगा. ये आइडिया से किया, एंड करते करते एक्चुअली I started enjoying doing science. So the stroke of luck that we had was कि कहीं से भी रिप्लाई नहीं आया. आईआईटी में एक लैब से माई प्रॉफ एट दैट पॉइंट हु आई लेटर ऑन डिड माई पीएचडी विथ, सो उतना लंबा एसोसिएशन हो गया फॉर डेकेड आफ्टर. ही हैड जस्ट रिसेंटली जॉइंड आईआईटी, ठीक है. ही वाज इन हिज अर्ली 30s एंड ही सेड पैसा ऐसा कुछ नहीं दे सकता लेकिन ऐसे ही आके काम कर सकते हो. अभी मेरे पास कोई स्टूडेंट नहीं है. द ओनली थिंग ही आस्क्ड वाज कि कैन यू राइट कोड्स, मतलब कैन यू डू यू हैव एनी एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ कोडिंग. बोला कर लेंगे. मतलब कोडिंग क्या है, मतलब एक्चुअली कोडिंग भी ठीक से नहीं आता था. तो दी basic qualification till engineering is bluffing your way through, right? Matlab you bluff your way out of situations. That is what we did, and basically that is what I'm doing through this podcast also. Like, that is why we are doing a podcast basically, and which is an engineer's core proficiency basically. So January में from aspiring to go to the US, having a GRE score in hand and deciding कि US जाएंगे, I gave GATE in the January of 2010 and subsequently वहाँ से फिर then गेट में अच्छा मार्क मिल गया यार. दैट इज द फर्स्ट टाइम इन माई एंटायर करियर, इंजीनियरिंग खत्म होने के बाद मैंने इंजीनियरिंग के बारे में पढ़ा. जो सब्जेक्ट्स था, गेट इज अ कंप्रेस्ड syllabus of your entire engineering syllabus, right? For one exam you have to go through all of engineering, mathematics, physics, सब कुछ. 8 में score आया. Then I did a masters in a very weird subject, environmental engineering, जहाँ पे interview अच्छा गया, वहाँ पे offer मिला, so I just took that. One thing that changed for me was what happened for you during your BTech. Basically, because the IITs were affordable till then, classroom was very heterogeneous, and campus mein rehna and those sort of things, that completely changed my outlook. And also the more relaxed pace of how exams are conducted, stuff like open book exams, matlab that gives you the chance to comprehend things and take your time and solve problems. And MTech in environmental engineering was also partly something associated with policy, not purely tech. So one aspect of it was designing reactors, fluid mechanics and stuff like that. And the 30% of it was also about environmental impact assessment of projects, so sustainable development. I did courses like that, and all of them were taught by faculty who were more liberal in outlook and who were good to talk to, basically the kind of faculty who will basically end up leaving an imprint in your careers later on. So that is where things changed. And during my project, which is the final 1 year of the MTech, you have to do a 1 year research project, right? So that is where I got my first taste of actually doing what is actually doing science. So up tak basically degrees were in science and engineering, but the appreciation for the discipline of science, the art of science, was never there.
So I guess, I mean, we've talked about why we did STEM, both of us. Primarily in my case, just because that was the only way to get validation from the family, and in your case, that, and also a latent aspiration is what I feel, without directionless, but
Directionless, for sure.
So I guess before we move to the next area, let's just talk about this. Even when you knew that you were doing STEM, and even when you knew that it's directionless, did you still feel this sense of condensation towards people who were not STEM, studying STEM, or any mild sense of condensation?
What I used to feel was that this is the cool thing to
exactly
do.
That's
and that extends not just with respect to humanities, but also with respect to other areas of science. Like एक MSc से एक engineer ज़्यादा cool होता है क्योंकि हम लोगों को time management अच्छा आता है. मतलब these are the sort of मतलब misplaced ideas that you have in your head. Same with biology versus math, right? So this is something I'll just touch upon. Basically what we end up doing is we draw so many lines. We basically think of various aspects of science or various aspects of learning as antagonistic of each other. I don't know if you have ever felt कि biology was considered as this subject जिसमें दिमाग नहीं लगाना पड़ता है, रट के तुम पास कर सकते हो. Through my career, weirdly, as I said, like this misplaced directionless CV of mine made me realize कि रियल वर्ल्ड में these labels actually genuinely do not exist, because तुमको environmental engineering करना है तो तुमको biology भी, microbiology का भी होना चाहिए knowledge. That helps while designing wastewater treatment plants. And you also have to have a sense of fluid mechanics. Fluid mechanics और biology एक दूसरे के दुश्मन नहीं है basically.
I will like you have taken it to a lot more detail. I will touch on the same thing just a little from. So here's the thing. So even though I knew that there are a lot of biology kids who end up going to medical school and who are somewhere in my mind I knew who are definitely smarter than me. But even then, when you are doing engineering, you somehow teach yourself that biology में तो रट्टा मारना पड़ता है. And the same goes to physics and chemistry. Why people, or at least, and this is a very this is also masculine in nature somehow. I don't know. At least in around me, it was.
Maths is supposed to
Math
be
is
the masculine subject.
physics is masculine, chemistry is feminine. So और chemistry में भी ऐसे यार वो organic में तो equation रटना है बस. And and again, I mean, we should talk about this fact because this is something that is interesting, right? That
And that reflects in classrooms also.
but more importantly, the fact कि we all we did or all we do through our education system is rote learning, and yet when it comes to like rote learning, we look down upon it as if it's not a thing to do, which everyone is asking you to do throughout your education. uh, I think it's strangely interesting because in a way you know that this is not how education should be, and yet you have been doing it, and yet you cannot help but laugh at it.
And even हम लोग जब when we talk of math, right, as engineers, you are not basically coming up with new theorems. You are basically, you know a set of solutions. You know a set of solutions and you are solving for things. You are not creating algorithms or solving unknown mathematical equations, right, for which solutions do not exist. So in some ways that is also rote learning. You're not redefining math as an engineer.
So give me a few minutes to rant. This is what I always say about India and Indian STEM education system. We are not engineers. We are, for the most part, should not call ourselves technocrats. I'm specifically keeping myself limited to the engineering graduates who end up working in MNCs. What we do is we are good at learning and understanding a specific technology and then reproducing similar things using some bit of our algorithmic knowledge to reproduce something using the same technology. We are not creating anything. We are definitely not improving on anything. What by that? So we are not very different from the industrial age factory workers who knew कि ये गियर को यहाँ से यहाँ ले जाना है तो ये लेवर काम करेगा एंड ये लाइन आगे बढ़ेगा
बस यहाँ पे
और यहाँ पे
कोड का
कोड का
सिंटैक्स
सिंटैक्स
आता
आ
है
जाता
हमको
है और उसमें भी if you just go to Stack Overflow and just see
you will get modules already
exactly
written.
So and one thing, living and working in a US based multinational which has a delivery center in India, I have realized is that people use the globe uses Indian engineers because they are mass produced and they are cheap. Nobody has ever said to me that the end product of their deliverables has been up to the mark. They need to have a guy sitting in US to review, update what they provide before sending it to to production or the final result out, right? So in the end, when Indians call themselves this IT superpower, what we are is IT support superpower. We do support services.
Because ingenuity, it's not a system that breeds ingenuity and innovation.
Great point. So tell me, and this is a question to you. Go back to your engineering time, even school maybe, and tell me why you think that we did not learn out of box thinking, creativity, and ingenuity.
So one is essentially in school, something which has always stayed in my mind is we are shy of asking questions, first of all, be it family structures or be it school. हमारे स्कूल में मैथ्स एंड साइंस टीचर्स वुड नेवर एंकरेज, से थियरम है, बेसिक प्रोपोर्शनलिटी थियरम, ज्योमेट्री में ऐसा कुछ है, तो थियरम सॉल्व करने का एक जो मेथड था, इफ देर इज अ किड हु इज आस्किंग कि मैम ये इसको ऐसे क्यों नहीं कर सकते, यू वुड गेट येल्ड एट मैम. दीज आर लाइक सीनियर टीचर्स जिनका इंटरेस्ट चला गया है लाइफ में, दे हैव बीन टीचिंग द सेम अप्रोच फॉर द लास्ट 30 years. तो उन्होंने सोच लिया है कि और कुछ दुनिया में एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करता है, देर इज नो अदर वे ऑफ अप्रोचिंग समथिंग, सो दे वुड येल एट यू फॉर लाइक डोंट बी ओवर स्मार्ट. ये हमारे अलजेब्रा टीचर ने चिल्लाया था एक बार, जस्ट बिकॉज वी आस्क्ड समथिंग. एंड you think of it now, that is exactly something which should be encouraged in a classroom, right? And secondly, because of this, what happens is, and because all the emphasis is on cramming things up in a short span of time, no one can ever say, admit to not knowing something in a classroom. So have you ever seen in an Indian classroom, at least in my classroom this wouldn't happen, एक बच्चा हाथ ऊपर करके बोल रहा है मैम आई एम नॉट गेटिंग दिस, डेफिनेटली नॉट इन मैथ्स एंड
Never,
साइंस.
never.
पीपल वुड शिट देयर पैंट्स. अगर टीचर पूछ रही है, कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछने वाला है, तो सिर नीचे रख के बैठना
Eye
पड़ता
contact नहीं
था,
करना.
बिकॉज ऑफ द आई कांटेक्ट नहीं करना. पूछ लिया और नहीं आया, विच इज़ वाई देखा है कि जिस बच्चे को आता था वो ऐसे हाथ ऊपर करके बोलेगा मैम मैम मुझे मुझे मुझे, वैसे टाइप का. सो एसेंशली when I said that we bluffed our way through the entire system, the school system also trained you at that, right? In school you are trained to actually not say, not admit not knowing something, be it at home. घर पे भी मार्क्स कम होता था तो क्या बोलते थे हम, ये तो नहीं बोल सकते थे घर में जाके कि I didn't understand this concept very well, so I would like someone to teach me better. That admittance of not knowing is the first prerequisite to actually learning something, and which our
Which is a
system never
fair point,
encourages.
because हम कोचिंग करते हैं, ट्यूशन करते हैं, पर हमारे पेरेंट्स भी जब हमसे बात करते हैं तो वो बोलते हैं कि तेरे को मैथ्स में अच्छे नंबर नहीं आए, तेरी ट्यूशन लगा देते हैं. किसी ने कभी बैठ के ये नहीं बोला कि तेरे को मैथ्स में अच्छे नंबर नहीं आए, व्हाई डिड यू नॉट गेट गुड मार्क्स, did you just not understand the concept? And if you did not understand the concept, what was it that you did not get? The Like, it all happens for all the wrong reasons, like putting the cart before the horse almost. But uh, so just to add to what you are saying, so you bring one big point, and that is that there is almost a culture of not asking questions, which is completely accurate. मुझे याद है जब ट्रिग्नोमेट्री पढ़ना शुरू हुआ था, तो ट्रिग्नोमेट्री में साइन कॉस टैन, पीबीपी, तो अभी भी मैं जब उसके बारे में बात कर रहा हूँ तो मैं कैसे कर रहा हूँ, पीबीपी एचएचबी. लाइक हम लोग को रटवा दिया गया था दैट इफ यू लाइक, तुमको साइन समझना है, कॉस समझना है, टैन. देयर वाज basically no background information provided for it beyond what the formula required. Yeah. So I want to say something about it. I do not blame the teachers entirely. So after independence, our education policy was, and I'm talking this purely on like my own theory basis, right? After independence, there is one statistics that says 16% men in India were literate and 8% females in India were literate. And there was a whole obviously the government needed people as resources to work in the factories and the plants and in the development projects to get the country moving, basically, right? So now what is happening is that we designed our education system in such a way that we have crammed a lot in a like smaller time frame, मतलब basically just to make sure that you know things, right? तो उससे क्या होता है कि like if you talk to someone in US who's gone to US school, they don't touch trigonometry before grade 11, and we start trigonometry at grade 9.
हाई स्कूल,
राइट. तो उससे क्या हुआ कि टीचर्स में भी एक इनॉर्मस प्रेशर था टू मेक श्योर कि कोर्स, कितनी बार ये हुआ है कि कोर्स कंप्लीट करने के लिए जनवरी में आप सिर्फ और सिर्फ क्वेश्चन आंसर लिखते थे. Imagine like
Correct.
social science or English, right? And the reason was that there was never enough time. The courses are not designed to be completed in a school year, and in the end the teachers have to make sure that they get the courses their course complete, because that is how they are rated on. And when you ask questions about something that is not clear to you, that is essentially time wasting for them, because for the
For the
teacher, because
teacher.
they also have to make sure that you know these things, and then the system has to make sure that you can reproduce these things as is, and that is why the exams, and that is why the question answer pattern, that is why again अभी का मुझे नहीं पता, पर अपन जो 90s में बड़े हुए हैं, I don't think there is any school in India beyond like really Shashi Tharoor elite schools where there was any examination pattern outside of question answer, by which I mean कि कहीं पे ऐसा नहीं
Correct.
हुआ कि like तुम्हारा जैसे यूएस में होता है, राइट, योर फाइनल एग्जाम इज जस्ट अ प्रोजेक्ट, यू जस्ट बिल्ड दिस प्रोजेक्ट, दिस इज योर फाइनल एग्जाम, ऐसा नहीं होता है टर्म.
Which is basically like a culmination of all that you have
Exactly.
learnt, but in a looser format than a written
Exactly.
exam.
क्योंकि
Basically.
by written exam you can make sure that I have 10 chapters, हर चैप्टर से अगर मैं 2 सवाल पूछ लूँ तो मुझे ये पता हो जाएगा कि ये बच्चा जो पास कर रहा है सब्जेक्ट, उसको इस सब्जेक्ट में इतना नॉलेज है कि उसके बाद उससे किसी ने क्वेश्चन पूछा तो ये बता देगा, राइट, एंड दैट इज ऑल द फोकस इज ऑन. नाउ व्हाट हैपेंस इज दैट and unseen consequences, the seen and the unseen, the unseen consequence of this policy is basically that we keep graduating classes, we keep learning things, but we shut down that part of our mind that asks questions.
Asking questions that gets delegitimized so early in your life.
Family, I remember, and correct me if this was not with you, but I remember there were times in my class, even during my engineering, where I did not get something and I just made a note of it कि बाद में मैं अपने दोस्त से पूछ लूंगा rather than class में professor से पूछने.
Even till today, I am petrified of raising my hand in a presentation and asking people कि slide में क्या है. I'd much rather do it after the speaker is done with his presentation, and it is something which is so deep rooted कि आज भी मुझे just to say that, raise my hands and say I don't get what you're saying in this slide. This is in a research presentation, okay? But I am very comfortable articulating a question once the entire talk is done. I'll go to the speaker and personally tell him कि मेरा disagreement ये है.
And it is almost philosophical in nature, if you ask me, because there is clearly, we both agree, there is this authoritarianism that exists in our society, be it family, be it the teacher student relationship, right? क्यों द्रोणाचार्य and एकलव्य का story is like told to everyone, and what happens is like you can look at it as if you're respecting elders, but it is basically a transactional relationship, much like almost everything else in Hinduism. I'm sorry, like that is like something that I have to go to, but you respect your elders because they provide you protection and food. You respect your teachers because they provide you knowledge, and you provide that respect. That respect is transactional in nature, and the moment that you disagree with the knowledge that they are providing, or the moment that you ask questions to your elders, you're breaking that transaction, and that transaction is everything that our religion stands on. Now even the caste structures and everything could be understood by this transactional nature of interaction. But having said that, I think we should take a break because it's almost been an hour and we haven't even scratched the surface. Welcome back, folks, to the Bharatiya Janata podcast. Uh, in the last segment, we ended at agreeing to the fact that our school system, our education system at large, teaches us to be less of a critical thinker and more of an acceptor of knowledge pushed at you uh, by way of rote learning. So, Aditya, I will go back to you and ask you this, which is the topic of our podcast today. Why does this lack of critical thinking or rote learning pushes our STEM graduates to go into the right wing or to lean more to the right wing? What makes that connection happen?
As we said, like in the first segment, so we are basically trained to have some sort of an authoritarian figure in every institution that we are part of. So that institution starts from when we are growing up, it is our family. So you're always taught to not ask questions of elders. So even if the questions make sense, you are never told that this is the answer, or again, from the parents perspective or the elders perspective, a lot of these times when they do not have an answer, the way they shut you up is by saying you are not supposed to ask questions of your elders, right? So even when you're growing up, this is quite strongly embedded in your heads that you are not supposed to ask questions. Then you go to school and the same thing happens. The teacher tells you not to ask questions or not to deviate from model answer questions का जो concept होता था. So during our 10th standard, 9th standard and so on, so the moment you deviate from the model answers that the teacher has in mind,
Yeah.
your marks are cut. So that essentially makes you uncomfortable of deviating from the set path every single time. And again, in this case, the teacher is the ultimate authority. But again, no encouragement for differing in opinion or anything of that sort, even in subjects like social sciences. So again, this is drilled into your head that you're not supposed to ask questions. So when you enter the free world, so as to say, and when you have to make your own choices, you are like a fish out of water. You are looking for an authoritarian figure when there is supposed to be none. And when it comes to politics, this translates directly into us wanting some sort of an authoritarian figurehead who we can not only blindly trust our good faith on, but also just this mere fact that this fear of asking questions of authority extends to even our public figures. So the way we treat our MPs and MLAs, forget even the Prime Minister for a minute, the way MPs and MLAs carry themselves, where at the very local level they are supposed to be representatives, they are more like feudal lords, right? So again, the people fear asking questions to them. So largely that is the case, and that then extends to this want of, say, some sort of a extremely powerful super figurehead as a prime minister. We are very comfortable with this, and that automatically like paves way for authoritarianism. The reason that we are okay with this fact is because critical thinking was never encouraged, which is like a very fertile ground for the right wing.
So I completely agree. Let me just take a step back, and of course, any listener who's listening to me can always reach out back to me at the Red Janta Podcast or Bharatiya Janta Podcast, which is our Twitter account. First time plugging Twitter account, yay! But the most basic idea of right wing and left wing is exactly how you describe your Aditya. Basically, right wing at its basic nature is about authority and maintaining the status quo.
And often the word discipline is used synonymously with conforming to authority.
Whereas left wing is about bringing down any authority and, in fact, looking at what helps the biggest mass in general. And that is why all through history, be it the female rights movement or the civil rights movement, you can, or right now the LGBTQ movement, you can see where who lies. Like, you will never suddenly see that right wing is opposing the females right to vote and suddenly they are supporting the right of African American to be equal participant in the American society. You can always know where they stand, and essentially they stand wherever the society is standing at that point, because they think, and with no disrespect, that's just basically how it is. They think that what the status quo is what benefits the society the most, whereas the left wing thinks that the status quo needs to be broken down. And that is why, as Aditya was talking about, the moment you teach people to stay in their lane and not deviate from their path, there are higher chances of them leaning towards right wings, because right wing will always provide them that safety of knowing that they will stay within their path. So to further add to the point and to ask you a question, uh, if I look back at my school, and we've talked about this outside of the podcast, certain things now in my 30s, looking back at my school, I find rather odd. First, schools which are technically supposed to be very secular places of learning have these morning prayer rituals across the board in India, and I think even US as well. I am not really sure why that happens or who came up with the idea of doing that, but that happens. Along with what in American context can be called the Pledge of Allegiance. In India, I
India is
think,
my country.
हाँ उसको क्या बोलते थे, मैं भूल गया, ये नेशनल
Pledge ही बोलते थे उसको.
प्लेज ही बोलते थे, राइट? प्लेज, हाँ. Again, a pledge to be a loyal foot soldier for the nation, which is in itself there is nothing wrong in it. It is just that there are certain choices that are already being made for you, and nobody is giving you the power eventually to decide it for yourself. How much do you think that impacts us in later in life?
Indirectly it does play a role. I wouldn't deny that. So that at least puts this thought that okay, your country is supreme and your country can never go wrong. That is something which gets drilled into your head also, right? So that is propaganda in some ways. So when you say that out loud every single day for like 12 years of your life, you start looking at your country in a very black and white shade. uh, we stop asking questions. Like for example, I was for a very long time uncomfortable with the fact that Kashmiris want an independent nation at some point. Like just even the idea of Kashmiris wanting an independent nation, even if one person wanted it, I would have been very uncomfortable at some of my formative stages of my political thought, like before I had found my ideas. So this discomfort stems out obviously from the fact that I have in a classroom sung songs like Bodo land क्यों मांग रहे हो हिंदुस्तान तुम्हारा है
Please
and Khalistan
find
क्यों.
the YouTube link. I'm sure somebody has uploaded the YouTube on YouTube this video, and they should know. Please
Which
मुखड़ा
song?
भी बता दो. हाँ.
खड़ा सोच रहा हूँ मैं याद नहीं आ रहा है ना. अभी
अच्छा.
भी बोला था मैंने,
हाँ हाँ.
मैं भूल गया.
हिंद
उठो
देश के
हिंद के
निवासी.
वीर,
अरे हुटो इनके नहीं, सॉरी हुटो.
उठो
हाँ
हिंद के वीर सपूतो माँ ने
हाँ.
तुम्हें पुकारा है. When a standard 5 standard 6 kid जो स्काउट गाइड में एसेंशियली क्या होता था कि यूनिफॉर्म पहन के हम हफ्ते में एक बार आते हैं, होल डे यू वुड हैव टू सिट इन दैट, वो टोपी पहन के. तुम लोगों का था क्या भारत स्काउट गाइड?
हाँ बट मैं नहीं था.
ग्रेश हम लोगों में
हाँ.
सबको करना पड़ता था आफ्टर 6 स्टैंडर्ड फॉर 4 years. तो वो टोपी पहन के बैठे हैं एंड वो बेसिकली 2 टीचर्स हु आर आइदर योर हिंदी टीचर और आर ड्राइंग टीचर वुड बी इन चार्ज ऑफ दैट क्लास, और वो उनका हीरो बनने का टाइम था. तो उनका सारा देशभक्ति डंडा मार के, तो अथॉरिटेरियनिज्म का अगर कोई लैब है तो इट इज़ दैट स्काउट का मेरे दिमाग में.
मैं
टोपी, द मोमेंट तुम्हारा टोपी अगर एक आधा डिग्री टेढ़ा हो गया ना, तो दे विल कम एंड देन जस्ट बीट यू विद अ स्टिक एंड यू आर फोर्स्ड टू बिलीव दैट ऑल दिस इज फाइन essentially in a classroom. And on top of that you are singing songs where you are saying कि ये क्यों मांग रहे हो हिंदुस्तान पूरा तुम्हारा है. Of course you are going to believe that, right, as a 6 standard का kid. And if you are doing it for 3 more years, then you start believing that asking for independence or asking for your own rights, essentially that is what it stands for, is something which is anti-national at that point.
स्कूल में एनुअल फंक्शन, एंड अगेन this could very well not be the case for anyone else apart from the two of us. But मेरे स्कूल का एक केस याद आ गया, जैसे ग्रेड क्लास 8th में स्कूल के एनुअल फंक्शन में इवेंट्स होते हैं, राइट, पीपल डू प्लेज एंड सॉन्ग्स. देयर वाज अ सॉन्ग sung in my class 8th annual function, and the song line goes like this: खबरदार रहना मेरे देश वालों, ये भारत की जागीर जाने ना पाए, बला से अगर जान जाए तो जाए, पर हाथों से कश्मीर जाने ना पाए. The power of propaganda, and I understand, again going back to this, and you cannot blame BJP or the rise of right wing on this, because the education system was clearly, the school education system they have yet had nothing to do with, but creating a almost a Victorian style of education, a disciplined student body, helped the then young Indian nation, which still is young, to get a lot of resources who would work on factories and steel plants and all of that. The sad part is that eventually we could never provide enough jobs for all of these people, but we produced a lot of job ready automatons, if you will. uh, I have a question that is linked to this. So we've, in the last segment, we talked about how there was labeling even within STEM. We should talk about how as STEM students people look at non-STEM folks briefly. But before you go on that, also tell me some of your thoughts on this fact that ये सब तो स्कूल में हो गया और हम राइट विंग की तरफ लीनिंग भी हो गए. My question was for you is a little outside of the scope of the schooling system, because I mean, more or less, we can see multiple different ways by which the school level propaganda kind of makes you respect authority, become a decent workforce for authority. However, there is one thing that happens, especially if you do engineering. Engineers across the board, Indian engineers across the board, males especially, seem to have this क्या बोलूं, this feeling, this sense with them that they know everything, from like Anil Bokil to name anybody that you could. Basically, this idea that economist होगा अपने घर का होगा, historian होगा अपने घर का होगा, writer, like our best writer so
It's an
called
engineer.
is an engineer. Why is this sense, why, where does this sense develop that because I am STEM I know everything?
But again, this is like very similar to the thing I said, right? We are so used to bluffing our way through the system and bullshitting our way through exams and stuff like that. And if you continue doing it for like 20 years of your life, you start believing your own shit, right? So, and in engineering, that is what we do best. So, I'll tell you the kind of things which people get into. Like, बायोटेक में मेरा अंडरग्रेड में मेरा जो क्लासमेट्स था, दे हैव फेल्ड मोस्ट ऑफ द एग्जाम्स. मैं खुद भी बहुत अच्छा नहीं था. वो परसों लेकिन द सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस दैट यू हैव कि कल कोई वाटर प्यूरिफिकेशन सिस्टम बेचने के लिए उसका एक जॉब पोजीशन है मार्केटिंग में, जाके कर लेगा वो. उसका कोई लेना देना नहीं है, उसको कुछ नहीं आता है उस इंस्ट्रूमेंट के बारे में, बट वो बेच देगा. दैट सेल्फ कॉन्फिडेंस is the only thing that you get good at while doing engineering. And the longer you do that, the more you start believing this your own shit. And also the fact that we also mentioned this, right? We have this inherent inability to admit that we don't know something. We almost feel that is something less macho, less masculine about saying that अरे इसके बारे में मुझे जानकारी नहीं है. Have you ever seen more in India? I'll tell you another thing. So if you are walking on the streets and you ask someone for directions, बंदे का पहला instinct ये नहीं होगा कि नहीं पता है बोलना. पहले ये सोचेगा कि नहीं भी पता है तो how do I give some sense of direction?
I do, I agree. I don't think that they want to mislead. It's just that they are afraid of saying मुझे नहीं
afraid
पता.
of saying मुझे नहीं पता. Basically, like, you will be judged, na? So you have to have an opinion on everything and anything. That is how you are trained right through, and that essentially translates into your Anil Bokils of the world.
I think the society also feeds into your narrative, because as we just talked about that there is a clear class system in our education. People who take engineering, math and bio, and then commerce and then arts. So your families feed you that तू तो smart है क्योंकि तूने ये ले लिया है. I remember, and again I've neither done BTech at an IIT or MBA at an IIM, but because of my socioeconomic background, I know 1,000 people who've been to these institutes, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but like I have been told that when you go, especially in an IIM, they tell you that hey, you are an IIM grad now, behave like that. Like this whole sense that you have to behave as if no one knows better than you is kind of put into you so that you I don't know, you're more confident. I don't know why that happens, but
this is also something very similar that some of the IIT professors often say, that the first semester that a kid gets into an IIT is the toughest for the faculty, because the students are all superstars, right, in their own towns or wherever they come from. Basically, they are overachievers of their class. But when they come to an IIT, they are all in the same class. So generally, sabka pedigree in terms of ability to solve physics problems and stuff is more or less the same. So I remember a faculty saying कि पहला 2 सेमेस्टर तो हम लोगों को ये तोड़ने में लगता है. That is why we try and set the most difficult papers in the first couple of semesters to break this myth that you are something super special.
growing up, especially growing up in an urban setting, big or small town, urban setting, upper caste Hindu family, as a son, you are brought up almost as if you're special, right? You are told certain things that you like. In my case, that you will do engineering, and so you grow up feeling that you're special. Then the films that you watch reflect the characters that you are, right? It's always an upper caste actor who's the good protagonist, who's going to win in the end. um, you always have someone to connect to. Like if you're a Marathi Brahmin, you have five icons, and if you're a Bengali, like
Correct.
and all of them are like you, so you have this inflated sense of your own identity.
Even with sportsmen, it's
Even
the
with
same.
sport, exactly. And then the school system teaches you that your country is the greatest. Everything Bollywood teaches you, your country is great. And to have something great and to have something better, you need to have something that is not great, or like at its opposite, so you also get an enemy. So but ultimately, like, you are being bombarded with this whole identity, like this whole sense of having a better almost a better identity than, like, even Hinduism, right? Hinduism के बारे
Yeah,
में बोला जाता है that it's a
सबसे
peaceful
democratic
relationship. हाँ,
religion.
exactly, it's a peaceful religion. We never attacked anybody, we don't convert anybody, right? And then
Which I also believed for a long time.
I did too. And then eventually like, if and especially that is happening more and more in today's day and age, you see a lot of things that you don't have not been taught, you don't agree with. For example, the existence of Dalits, right? I mean, you know what they are, and you know reservation, but beyond that, you don't have any lived experiences
In
of
fact,
that.
I'll go further. We strongly disagree without actually having any sense of perspective. We disagree with the idea of reservation because for a long time I considered that कि ये तो इनइक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटीज का केस है विदाउट एक्चुअली अंडरस्टैंडिंग कि इसका हिस्टोरिकल लेगेसी क्या है एंड व्हाई इट इज रिक्वायर्ड. वो कभी हम लोगों को उसका सेंस नहीं था बेसिकली.
So basically, in your head, at least for me, uh, uh, स्पेशली ग्रोइंग अप, आई थॉट कि इंडिया, जो डेवलपमेंट की बात होती है, राइट? क्यों नहीं इंडिया यूएस जैसा? क्या कमी है इंडिया में? क्यों नहीं इंडिया यूएस जैसा? हम लोग ज्यादा एजुकेटेड, अपेरेंटली हम लोग ज्यादा स्मार्ट है अमेरिकन से, ये सब कुछ है, तो हम क्यों नहीं कम्पीट कर रहे? और द रियलिटी ऑफ द वर्ल्ड इज दैट we are not part of the Security Council. We don't, our Olympic medals tally don't reflect how. So if everything is so right about me, there has to be something that has gone wrong, and I have to figure out something that has gone wrong. So because of which all of these things are not right with my country, and then I find this whole narrative of the right wing that is telling us that you are sone ki chidiya, except these Muslims. You would have been the most mm, richest country in the world except for the Mughals. So you then
Which is also something I believed for a long time
so what
in
happens is
school.
that you start, like, they are telling you things you want to hear, they are telling you things that confirms your worldview. So it is almost easier to slide into slide with them, so that like nothing needs to be broken down. You don't have to examine your class identity, caste identity. You don't have to examine the political opinions of your parents. You don't have to examine the society that you've grown up with, and you don't have to examine the reality of India, which is that we are sliding down. We have more hungry people than ever, and 10 साल पहले हमारी जो भी ग्लोबल इमेज थी, उससे भी डिमिनिश्ड ग्लोबल इमेज है शायद आज हमारी.
I've often heard people also describe saying that the हमारे पास सब है, हम लोग टैलेंटेड हैं, हम लोग में दिमाग ज़्यादा है एंड ऑल दिस काइंड ऑफ शिट एंड विच वी ऑफन वी वांट टू बिलीव दैट, राइट? सो दिस इज़ लाइक जब तुमको कोई जॉब इंटरव्यू में पूछा जाता है अपने बारे में, कोई टेल अस वन वीकनेस दैट यू हैव, यू वुड ऑफन try and package your weakness as a strength, right?
Yeah.
And this is exactly what we do when it comes to our country. We cannot have an open admission of all that is wrong, so we come up with bullshit like हम लोग nationalist नहीं है, हम लोग
हम लोग में
Japanese को
एकता
देखो,
नहीं है.
एकता नहीं है. So some very lame very hand waving things which are not tangible, कोई sense नहीं है उसमें. So we'll never, so none of the weaknesses that a average Indian, even I would give like 15 years back, would be an open admission of weakness, which again goes back to the same thing which was in school. We cannot admit that we are wrong. Then you say things like ekta nahi hai, or which completely is in line with what the BJP is exploiting today.
Do you think India specifically has this problem that we
I'm saying like the tropes are there right through the world, but the fact that we have this inherent, on top of this we have this inherent underperformance when it comes to our economy, and we have basically a paucity of heroes right in the last 100 years post independence. uh, an open admission of that has to come, because you can count the heroes, like by heroes I say the superstars for a country at the global stage are very few. Like we have very few Nobel laureates, we have very few Olympic medal winners. So our sense of, we are
we've been
very
celebrating Milkha Singh, who
uh,
came fourth. I mean, and no
fourth.
disrespect to
No,
Milkha
no,
Singh,
there
but
is
like
no
we've been, yeah.
disrespect, but the fact that we can count these icons in like two hands is tells you something about the society. We are very underconfident, and we try to overcompensate for this underconfidence by coming up with narratives like "हम में देशभक्ति नहीं है" basically.
As I mean, we've focused this pod. We focused on mostly on India, but a lot of the things that we are talking about are very similar across the subcontinent and even in countries like China, for example. The whole Eastern world, as we call it, suffers from this problem. So we've come to this point, and here we are, the two of us, as some people have called us in the past, liptards, anti-national, all of that, Khan Gracie. So and we've talked in the older podcast about how and why we are the way we are. So I don't want to get on that. What I want to know from you is that ever since you've started to identify your own political opinions, and ever since you started to identify yourself as a quote unquote liberal, how has your relationship with what you've studied and your relationship with science in general changed?
So I definitely say that my appreciation for what is science completely changed. My understanding of that changed, because while we would all call ourselves graduates in science, but the core tenets of it essentially is to ask questions, and you don't have to be a graduate in sciences to be that, right? So thinking rationally, asking questions, or critical thinking, and not taking anything at face value, these are the kind of things which basically form the bedrock of science, right? uh, s- which we I never had an appreciation of while doing engineering, because while doing engineering all I was doing was consuming facts. uh, but when I started doing my own research, my appreciation of all this went up a notch. And I wouldn't say that just because you are doing a PhD you get divine understanding of all of this. You can be a PhD, you can be like multiple PhDs under your belt, and then you can still be an irrational person. A lot of this irrational stuff I would buy, right? कि गणपति दूध पिया था and all that, I was like, I हो सकता है कि unexplained है. I started looking at these sort of social cults in a very very different light when I started appreciating the way science is done, which is why when you say science, it doesn't have to mean a degree in science. You can have scientific temper is the word which he
I still
loosely
think
used, right?
that
So
I
I
am not
think that is what I
really,
mean by that.
like, I should not have been doing technology even, but this is where fate has brought me to. However, one thing did change during my masters, and again, most of the things that changed around me had nothing to do with my education, but everything outside of it. I ended up reading The God Delusion around 2012, and I'm not going into the god aspect of it, but in the book, Dawkins talks about evolution. Then I ended up reading Cosmos by Carl Sagan, and even that book also has a section about evolution. And when I read these books, I realized that science is fundamentally like this distinction that we made between humanities and science is also like a man-made distinction, right? Like who like humanities deals with abstract, so so maybe like philosophy, but like to be, I think to be a good but even to be a good scientist, I think you have to be a good philosopher. They explained evolution had never like even my science classes in high school, no teacher ever taught me that way, and there was no, I think one single thing that should could be taught so interestingly to kids is how evolution happens and how we become what we have become. And even that was taught to us during our school times in such a banal way that we never, I at least never really got any appreciation for the process. And then I looked back at my schooling and I realized if only I had people who could explain something like evolution to me this way, I would have probably been a much better individual, yeah, for things around science.
There is another thing which genuinely realized only towards the end of my PhD, that how little you know about even the things you graduate in. You would imagine that if you do, say, a PhD in any discipline, people expect you to be an expert in that field, but you basically, the only thing you gain at the end of those 5 years is an admission of your limitations, and is an admission of what you do not know in your own field. So
Did you not feel this during like did you during your engineering did you feel that you know stuff?
ड्यूरिंग माई इंजीनियरिंग आई फेल्ट दैट बिकॉज मैंने पढ़ाई नहीं किया अच्छे से, वो रीज़न था. बट पीएचडी में मैंने जेन्युइनली एफर्ट लगा के किया, फिर भी कुछ नहीं आता है. वो चीज़ तो इवन इवन मोर हम्बलिंग. इंजीनियरिंग में ऐसा था कि मैंने कभी कुछ सीखा ही नहीं, तो I didn't even know whether it is a qualified opinion that I don't know, right? It's a very, I don't know, it's a very meta philosophical kind of a discussion
मेरे
to
साथ
go
ये था
down that route.
कि even during my engineering, just to cut you up here, but even during my engineering, there were people around me who were just overall just knew more than me in those subjects and disciplines, and so I've never really felt that I know my shit ever really in life, and maybe that has also helped in some ways for me to
Same is with me. Same is exactly with me also. I have
in
never felt that I know more about something than anyone else. And that idea became stronger and stronger in my head as I went further. Like, I got more degrees, I became even more convinced that I know very little. So
which is so fascinating. एक छोटा सा स्टोरी 2 सेकंड
हाँ.
की एक स्टोरी दिमाग में आ गया. लेट मी जस्ट टेल यू. सो आई हैव दिस और आई हैड दिस फ्रेंड. आई हैवंट टॉक्ड to this guy for I don't know 10 years now, but there was this guy who was my friend during my school days, right? Very like mediocre average student just like me, but had this unbelievable amount of confidence. I still remember 11th class में 11th grade में we went for our first, वो जब IIT की prep करने के लिए we first for our first day in our chemistry coaching 11th grade, and the teacher taught something whatever and he got everything that day first day, and we're walking back and he's saying in total MP वाला language कि आज तेरा भाई chemistry का बादशाह बन गया है first day. And that guy, if like I don't talk, like I just have no connection with him, but he's on my Facebook and he's a rabid right winger, like hardcore rabid, like fighting on Twitter right winger. And I don't know, maybe there is a connection, but like your story just reminded.
like, you can be a very irrational person and be a good doctor, right? Because you are a
Yeah,
good surgeon, but you're
Ben Carson.
you're
Ben
yeah,
Carson.
you're irrational otherwise, but you're a very good surgeon. So this, even in even if you in academics, if you're a PI, you can be a successful PI if you have the right setup and you have people just doing decent work for you, and you iteratively keep publishing, you're staying afloat and being successful in some metric. But the kind of people who genuinely inspired me are people who are very philosophical when it comes to science. Like, the philosophers within science are the people, when it comes to even the faculty. I was very lucky in that sense to have my thesis advisory committee had phenomenal people. Like, I had a prof who would do weekly sessions in the sense like weekly talks and debates in his home, and also sometimes in the department where we would speak. He was a physics faculty, so I wouldn't
Mhm.
name people, but he would have sessions on, say, things like how Islam shaped modern physics and modern mathematics, uh, Islamic kingdoms, the way we perceive them today, as opposed to how the history of science benefited from different religious setups. Like,
I think once you get that, then it's very difficult to go back and become a bigot, because you are is like our last episode. You are essentially accepting the fact that they contributed to the society, and the moment that you do that, it's very difficult to hate on them,
exactly.
right?
So these are the sort of people who somewhere I had the privilege of meeting them at probably the time in my life when I was still malleable. If I were to meet them after my PhD during my postdoc, I wouldn't think anything will change in the way I look at the world.
I mean, and not to diss on anybody, but I think one of my greatest bad luck has been that I cannot actually count one real physical teacher who changed my outlook in such a way.
Hmm. Again, it's just a matter of luck, right?
Well,
So again, I count on my lab and how it shaped me. And all of my thesis advisors were genuinely fun people. Like the kind of philosophical discussions surrounding science that we would have shaped me as a person. I can not thank them enough for all of that. And that is why universities are such important spaces, because the moment you meet
so
someone like that and the moment you have conversations like that, there is no going back.
going back and going through your experience and then seeing um, how what you've become, the person who has more appreciation for science and scientific temper. In your mind, what, like, and because we decided to end this on a positive note, what things should our education system and STEM in general should inculcate in within themselves to produce better human beings?
The labeling should go away in some sense. Say, we should have much more malleability when it comes to career choices. So we almost resign ourselves to doing something the moment we decide to get into science at the end of 10th standard, right? And the solution to this is not to say that बच्चों पे लोड कम करना है तो मैथ्स हटा देंगे 10th तक ऑप्शनल कर देंगे. That is not the way you look at it. So there is a lot that even if you are getting into arts, you would benefit from having a basic understanding of statistics and mathematics. So exposure to different aspect disciplines. So, and there should be this idea of having minors. You should have the ability to be a minor in some non-science discipline during your engineering.
Which is fundamentally different in India as compared to other places where we have IIT, which is just tech university. So we have just tech and management university. So in India, it's so fragmented, right? Like if you go to Harvard, you, within the same campus, you have engineering, building of engineering, and you have a building of humanities, JFK ka school, JFK school, the business school, everything is there. And when you so like in India, right at grade 10, at 16, you almost decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And how unfair is that? I mean, how much, like, if I could go back to when I was 16 again, I would not make any of these choices.
In fact, being malleable is seen as as an admission of being unsuccessful. Uh, I come back to this, like my own CV is so haphazard, and I've in some weird ways I've gained from that. There are inherently certain things which, if you have exposure, you may not be a master in any of these disciplines, but when you are practicing something, you actually end up subconsciously applying observations from one discipline to the other. And I think that is very important when you have like exposure to two different aspects, like you are a economics major and also physics major. It's very likely that you will have some appreciation of economics which is different to only a core economics grad. When you know physics, you might apply something might be very trivial for a physicist, okay, a trivial knowledge in physics, but you might apply that concept in a very different way to economics, and it might turn out to be novel. So these are the kind of things you deprive people from when you box people and when you label people. And the same of course goes for the complete bracketing of people within humanities and sciences. And secondly, this is something which is a much bigger challenge, and this is something we have failed at in the last 70 years. The school, there isn't enough done to fix these issues at the school level. There is no uh, there is not much investment in like having more open classrooms, like uh, experiment driven learning. Like our education system doesn't give you, so this is something very elementary which wouldn't require money, but it would require a few sensible heads to fix it. Is to, when you're teaching science, right, we completely cut out the philosophy behind how a finding was, how someone made a discovery, right? So there is this entire social angle to every discovery. There is an entire approach. Say someone who was working in a industrial revolution ka koi factory made an observation which enabled him to do a discovery in say optics,
Yeah.
for example. So the story behind this entire thing is as enriching as just knowing कि अच्छा ये theorem ऐसा है, xyz है. So this is something which our science has completely missed. So the moment you actually convey the history behind a particular discovery, you get more appreciation for how that person achieved it. That is something which very often we do not convey. कॉस्मोस जैसा जो सीरीज है इसका, नील डिग्रास टाइसन का एंड चार्ल्स सीगन का,
Yeah.
मच बिफोर, something like that. Like why can't school curriculums be more appreciative of these things? And this is not something which will require huge degree of investment to achieve.
I To add to it, I also think that, and maybe India as a country, perhaps it's a little too difficult to do it, but maybe we need to. So I don't know if you know this, but before, like, early 80s, education used to be till grade 11, and then after grade 11 you would go to college. Then grade 12 was added. I think what we need is perhaps 2 more years of high school education, so that we can flatten out the course structure a bit and can make it a little more smaller for a school year, so that there is. When I was a kid, I used to watch all these American shows on Star, and I'd watch kids shows, right? Small World and all of that, and I'd realize that they'd ask for a weekly book report. Never in my school ever anybody asked me to read a book outside of the course curriculum and provide a book report. Book report by essentially is such a beautiful concept, I think, because it allows you to read a book and then provide your own thoughts on the book, which opens your mind. And nothing like this happens with the Indian school system. And I would so dearly want, I don't know if this happens now, if things have changed, but if that were happening during my time, it would have been. But so that is one thing. The other thing that happens in US, and maybe it really badly needs to happen in US, in India, is stop giving degrees like BTech, BSc, BCom, BA. Make it something that is same across the board, and make and stop having, and I don't know how this will happen, this is too radical, but stop having only one type of institutions. So like, engineering college by itself is a very dangerous place. It should be a university, and the kids should be allowed to pick courses from engineering that they like, and from history. Like, when I was at Texas A&M, I knew kids who were studying history and chemistry at the same time, just because they liked
Hmm.
it. Their major was history, their
Hmm.
minor was chemistry. And
But I think places like, I think BITS Pilani has this sort of, you can minor in different things. I think IIT Bombay definitely has that. So that should become the norm. So I completely agree, because my department in IIT was right next to the humanities department. So that meant that we would often like just hop down to the humanities department for any random talk, और उससे जो एक्सपोजर मिलता है, लाइक दोज आर ऑल अंडर अप्रिशिएटेड थिंग्स एंड वी डोंट अटैच वैल्यू टू इट इनफ. And also this ability to say the classroom should allow people to make mistakes, man. It should be the most secure place where teachers should encourage more mistakes as long as it comes from an honest place. So something I realized like very very late, in the very final semester of my PhD, after I submitted my thesis, I did a few courses like in statistical physics and things like that, which I should have learned much earlier. Like my own admission that okay, I'm bad at these things. So I did a molecular biology course at that point, like the final few months before I was supposed to leave the campus. The prof who taught us that course, so instead of teaching how a certain model works, she would actually just leave the space open and let people come up with their own models to explain something, and 95% of it would be wrong, right, if you're learning something for the first time. And then she would eliminate each mistake one by one and go through the mistakes rather than first teaching the right approach. She went an entire course, like she didn't completely go through the entire syllabus in depth, but the approach is something which I had a lot of fun doing, and that is something which should be seen even in sciences. That should be more of the norm than an aberration. Like rather than telling someone this is how it is done, you ask them how they do it, and when they have made a mistake, then invest time in telling them why something is wrong and how that can be fixed. I think that's a very beautiful way of learning. It also gets rid of your ego. You're more comfortable with making mistakes. I just want that to be a norm in our society.
So there is one segment that we decided on that we talk about, but we've kind of missed, was the respect given to the profession of teaching, which makes me like from your recent point. There is something that you will see happening in US universities a lot, but when it comes to the Indian universities, a lot of the professors at least almost treat their classroom as their dominion, where everything has to pass through them, like they rule the classroom during the this happened school. This happens even more so during college time, and I think that goes back to the culture where we have authority and everyone following authority. So when it comes to Indian context, what you want to happen as classroom to be a place where people can commit mistakes is fundamentally very difficult to happen, and I don't want to be negative about it, but the thing is that our broad culture does not allow that to happen. For that to happen, we will have to have homes where we can ask questions of our parents and not be answered, which again does not really happen in our culture. Too many questions and you are tagged as that rude kid who just talks too much, or
Basically, conservatism and innovation don't ever mix well.
so
Have you ever not heard like people say things like, people with like engineering degrees go ahead and say that basically बंदा कोडर बन गया. He would say that मुझे पता नहीं मैंने ये साइन थीटा कॉस थीटा सीख के क्या उखाड़ लिया लाइफ में. You simply have not got any appreciation of something which doesn't get you a job.
huh, basically, and that is a very restrictive mindset, but that is becoming the general trend, which was there earlier as well.
So the point is that I don't expect these people to have appreciation of humanities. तो हो ही नहीं सकता है क्योंकि their own understanding of anything that doesn't get a job even in science is something as being wasteful. They'd have the same opinion about practically anything. You show them Einstein ka thesis, say Einstein ka thesis has the most lame sounding, the most niche sounding thesis title. इनको ये मत बताओ कि किसने ये thesis लिखा था, ठीक है. Just do a social experiment, take the title of the thesis and tell कि ये क्या है, मतलब इसमें पैसा देना चाहिए. Most of these people would say that ये useless है, taxpayers money का waste है. That is from a place of ignorance. And
so with that, I think we can call this episode complete. Yeah, any recommendations from you?
So I have a recommendation of a book called, since you mentioned evolution, so this book called This View of Life is basically completing the Darwinian revolution. So David Sloan Wilson is the author. This is about how policy decisions can actually gain from an understanding of natural history and biology.
And since we've already talked about this, I will recommend The God Delusion as my recommendation for this week. It's it's a meaty book. It's not like it does not have a lot of pages, but it contains a lot. So my suggestion will be keep it on your side and read it a chapter at a time. And please don't, like, if you are a, even if you are a religious person, pick it up without any preconceived biases, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And with that, I'd say it's a wrap.